PSG was founded by Jannie Mouton. Its main assets are Capitec, Curro Holdings, PSG Konsult, PSG Private Equity, and Zeder.
Right, another tremendously successful team that have made an enormous amount of money for themselves and their shareholders. Jannie Mouton's story, of course, well known. Stellenbosch headquartered, and those assets, all of them, looking like they're doing well.
Market cap, 44 billion rand, PE ratio of 28.7, and a dividend yield here of 1.6%. We've got a big question on our minds right now, and that is, just to take you a step back, Devin, and you follow the hot stocks portfolio. So you know that we bundled Zeder, Curro, and Capitec together, and we basically bought into PSG, the investment holding company. What we're trying to understand right now is whether we should actually reverse that transaction.
Look, I mean, in making that decision, you have to look at where the driver of earnings comes is, and Capitec is probably half of the group proportion for profit. So your view on Capitec is very much going to determine what you're going to do there. And yeah, I mean, I think we have to look at that very carefully. I mean, it's obviously been a success story. It's been incredible. It's 7 million customers. It's done incredibly well. Apparently it's got 21% market share now. But where's the upside considering where South Africa as an economy is sitting? And now with the global economy looking like it's slowing significantly. America looks to be creating less jobs than expected. So there are definite headwinds for a company like that.
Look, the group itself has done a superb job, and you're right, if you do the sum of the parts calculation, Capitec is the biggest chunk, even though it's only 35% held. The next significant chunk, I think, is Curro, because Curro is a 60-odd% held subsidiary, and it has also grown to spectacular heights. The other bits, like Zeder, which is, smallish, and the PSG Konsult business, which is, the asset management listed entity as well, that's also done well.
But it's Capitec that's worrying you, isn't it?
I don't know.
Whether do you want that exposure?
Well, I guess that's the real issue, because there are a few stories about Capitec doing the rounds in terms of the character of the lending that they've been doing, and we know African Bank did a swallow dive last year, and there's quite a lot of pressure in that sort of low to middle income lending environment. And I just worry a little bit that Capitec remains tightly held, and it's trading at a very high price relatively historically. So of the various pieces of the PSG group, the bit that I like the most and would be most comfortable having the most exposure to would be the Curro piece.
I like where we're going with this. I would tend to bail from the position, not just because I like to have cash. I know that's not why we're doing this, but I've long been concerned about where Capitec is positioned, given the history with ABON. I know that the lending structures are completely different, et cetera, but I just can't see that one company in the same space would remain completely unscathed.
Yeah, I agree with Paul on the Curro assets. PSG Konsult also great, but looking at the proportion of Capitec, I think there is reason for concern. Maybe they haven't.
Let's look at PSG. Just there's the graph.
Well, and that little charge up there in the late 2015, and the masters of timing, they did a capital equity raise and issued a whole lot of new shares right up at the top there, which just shows you that Jannie Mouton has got impeccable timing.
Sorry, we interrupted you. You were making a very important point around Capitec.
No, I don't think they've done anything to make us concerned yet as a company, but I think if you look at the environment they're operating in, I think if you start to look at some of the metrics that could come through from increasing joblessness, low economic growth, I think on a risk-adjusted basis,
they're in a vulnerable situation. Well, they're in a vulnerable sector. Could I make it?
The share price will probably go higher. I mean, people have lost out being concerned about Capitec. They remain very buoyant and they've gone well. But I would just feel more comfortable. And the Curro thing, I think, there have been certain shifts in the law in this country regarding Model C schools, which will play in Curro's favour.
Correct.
Because that legal ruling recently by the Constitutional Court that prevents Model C schools from controlling their admissions is not going to be good for those.
The demand-supply equation in education just speaks for itself, in my opinion. There is not enough supply, and we oversubscribe from a demand perspective.
Okay, so the investment of the day, in summary, if we're all agreeing on the desk, would be to switch.
We still need to say whether PSG is hot or not.
Oh, okay, good point.
Hot or not?
Looking through at the main assets, I'm going to go not hot on that one, yeah.
Hot or not?
Okay, not hot.